right. Alvarez and Holmes are the battery. Bichette, Lindor, Simeon, and Vientos across the infield.
A little different look because the Twins are starting a rookie left-hander tonight, Connor Prielipp. It'll be his first major league appearance, so the Mets getting their right-handed platoon in there. It's Bark in the Park night. The Dogs were out on the field before the game. They were all good boys and girls.
How do you know?
Because they all are. There are no bad dogs. There are only bad owners. Hello. Wow. I don't know if my dogs would be very happy.
Would they just be like sit there and relax and chill?
I don't think so. I think they'd be a little agitated. Maybe you have to, provide a little medication. Byron Buxton leads off against Clay Holmes. And on a 52-degree night, Holmes' first pitch of the night is yanked foul. And we're underway. Last night, Byron Buxton delivered a key blow for the Twins. Their first 2 runs came on his one swing of the bat.
You know, the ball was not traveling last night, but he is so strong. Hit that ball into the night.
Buxton with 4 home runs through his first 86 at-bats. And he pops this one up into shallow right field. Tyrone Taylor jogging in. And he's got it for the first out of the night. So Holmes, who has been living by the ground ball, gets a fly ball for his first out. The ground ball rate's up to 58%. That's 5th in the major leagues among qualifiers. And a little higher than it was last year in his first year as a starter. Here's Trevor Larnach, 1 for 4 last night. Larnach's hitting .263, but he's got a .451 on base percentage because he's already run 13 walks with only 38 official at bats. This is a Minnesota team that early in the season has been very productive hitting fastballs. Their OPS against fastballs is .822. That's 8th in the majors. Against non-fastballs, .551. That's 27th. And that sinker just missed. 2 balls and a strike to Larnach, with Josh Bell, the switch hitting DH on deck. The Twins last night snapped a 4-game losing streak as they came from 3 runs down to win. And that fastball away. Alvarez looking a little agitated at the home plate umpire, Ryan Wills. Larnach tops one foul. 3-2. There's your umpiring quartet. Wills behind the plate. Lance Barksdale is your crew chief at first. Will Little and Ryan Addington rounding out the crew. 33-year-old Clay Holmes, his 349th game, his 40th career start. And he has taken to starting like a duck to water. A terrific first year as a starter, and looks like even better this year. 3-2. Larnach lines one, and goes Lindor to snag it for the second out. Timed the lead perfectly. 2 down.
He was talking to Luis Robert Jr. saying, I am Windex. I can get up and clean that glass. Beautiful leap. Great timing.
Get him in the transfer portal.
He had a little bit of movement as well. He had to stay with it. Brilliant play.
So 2 out of nobody on that. Josh Bell takes a big rip at a fastball. Bell was 0 for 3 last night. And Lindor has looked so much more like himself over the last week. He's starting to hit. The defense is there. Fly ball toward the left field line. Tommy Pham moves over, and he puts it away to retire the side. So Holmes, without a single ground ball, gets him out 1-2-3. That's come to bat, no score.
Liz came in. The MLB app. Yeah, it's got game. This game. These games.
Last 6 games, Mets have gotten very little production out of that leadoff spot. So Bo Bichette, who started 82 times in the leadoff spot last year for the Blue Jays, will hit in front of Soto, with Lindor hitting cleanup for the first time since 2023.
Well, the young Connor Prielipp called up from AAA St. Paul. 76 and 77 pitches his last 2 starts. His last one was his best. 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, only 1 run allowed.
They say he has got an outstanding slider, and he also is a ground ball pitcher. 56% ground balls in his 4 AAA appearances this year. Bo Bichette 1 for 4 last night. He slices 1 foul. 0-1.
Gary, American League team where they play Bichette defensively because they know him. Look at the infield for Minnesota. Second baseman is not up the middle, playing a standard second base position.
Bichette's base hit was to right field last night. A little duck snort off the end of the bat. And he pulls one up the bag, and that's a fair ball going down the line and into the corner. So they plan to go the other way. Bichette pulls one down the left field line. He's got a double to open matters tonight. And an instant RBI opportunity for Juan Soto. Juan was off to a hot start when he got hurt in San Francisco, hit in all 8 games that he played. Missed 15 games and back tonight. And he takes first pitch slider for a strike, 0-1. Soto DHing tonight. He's only DH'd 23 games prior to tonight in his career, but he's done really well when he has. Chases the slider that time, and it's 0-2. 311 average, 8 home runs in 74 at bats as a DH. Hurt the right calf running the bases in San Francisco. Calf injuries can sometimes linger for a long time, but the Mets feel as though they caught it early, and he's been able to do full speed running the last few days, getting himself ready to return. 3 sliders in a row, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Luis Robert waiting on deck.
Fans waiting for Soto to be the savior of the streets.
There's only so much one guy can do. Your turn only comes up every, 9th batter. It's just the nature of the game. 1-2 coming, and he hits one in the air to center field. Put pretty well. Back goes Buxton. They'll get there at the warning track to make the catch. Tagging at second is Bichette. He'll move over to third. So productive out by Soto gets Bichette to third with 1 away.
Well, Mr. Prielipp is lucky that this is not summertime. I mean, he crushed that ball. No wind, but it's cold. The ball does not travel as well as the cold. In the cold, maybe a little off the end.
104 miles an hour off the bat. Twins are going to bring the infield in. Try and choke off a run in the first inning. Luis Robert, the batter, 0 for 4 last night. He chases for strike 1. Robert has 2 home runs this year. They both come against lefties in just 14 at bats against left-handers. The Mets are well below average in getting a runner in from third with less than 2 outs.
Average is always around, what, 55% or so, Gary? Oh, it's on there. Sorry.
It's usually 53 to 55, somewhere in there. It's popped up in foul ground. Caratini comes back for a look, but that'll be out of play, and it's 1-2.
Mohegan Sun Twins defense. Got Lewis, Lee, Keishel, and Clemens in the infield. Larnick, Buxton, and Wallner. Buxton is an elite center fielder.
Prielipp struck out 22 batters in 15 minor league innings this year. He needs a strikeout here with a runner at third and one out. Buries that slider low and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And you can see why they rave about that pitch.
Yeah, he's got both avenues working. He's got kind of the sink on his fastball working away from the right-hand hitter, the slider working down and in.
25-year-old from Toma, Wisconsin. And this is badly with the changeup, and now it's 3-2. You see the breakdown in the minor leagues for Prielipp.
Cold weather shouldn't upset Prielipp.
That curveball's a new pitch this year. Headed it to give him a little different look from the slider. Lindor on deck, 3-2 to Robert, and he struck him out. Got him with the slider, and so Prielipp, needing a strikeout, gets a strikeout, and they're 2 away.
Even a veteran hitter, when they get up and a team has been struggling, sometimes they'll go out of that strike zone to make something happen. And we didn't see a lot of this from Robert Jr. early on this season.
See how Prielipp spikes the slider?
Yeah, he's got the, it's almost like a knuckle curve.
So the infield drops back with 2 out for Lindor, and he goes after a first pitch breaking ball, 0-1. Lindor last hit cleanup in 2023. He has struggled from this side of the plate. He's hitting just 136 as a right-hand batter. One of the reasons why the Mets are 0-5 when a left-hander starts against them this year.
There's the freeze of the grip on that strikeout. He's right on that seam. The bench are saying, hey, we got to get this guy up. Anything on the knees, let it go. We got to get him up thigh high or higher.
0-2 to Lindor with Bichette at third and 2 out. He's able to lay off that back foot slider, and it's 1-2. Francisco Alvarez sitting 5th in the order. He would be next. One-two coming. And Lindor fouls back the fastball. Got that one up to 97 miles an hour. Prielipp averaged a little over 95.5 on that fastball in the minor leagues this year. And Lindor able to lay off on a low curveball, and it's 2-2.
Nice take there by Francisco.
Lindor hit the 3-run homer last night that gave the Mets their runs. Grounds this one over the bag. That's a fair ball. The running toss by Lewis, not in time, and a run comes home. Lindor beats it out for an infield hit. Bichette comes in to score, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead.
How about a little small ball by the Mets here in the bottom of the first? The hustle by Francisco Lindor to first. Play not close. A double. Get him over. Get him in.
So Lindor gets the Mets the early lead for the second straight night. Came into this series with 1 RBI for the season. He's now driven in 4. 3 last night and the first one tonight. Here's Alvarez. And he takes a fastball upstairs for ball 1. Alvarez, who had been the Mets' hottest hitter, is now hitless in his last 9 at-bats. And he has struggled against lefties, hitting just 158 against left-handers. Lindor trying to get a read on Prielipp. And Alvarez fouls one into the ground on the slider, 1-1. Balls and a strike to Alvarez. Mark Vientos would be next. Bichette led off with a double, moved over on Soto's fly ball, comes home on Lindor's infield hit. Now it's 2-1 to Alvarez. And he pops one up behind first base. Clemens into foul territory and chase it and catches it in fair territory to retire the side. Mets strike first, 1-0 after 1.
Puedes ser el dueño de grandes momentos del béisbol. MLB Auction te permite participar en la subasta.
Had a good year, 728 OPS. We use him to DH. They use him some at first base, but he is at his primary position tonight doing the catching. Holmes picks off the inside corner, a ball and a strike. Caratini, then Cody Clemens and Luke Keeschel for the Twins in the second after Holmes got the side out 1-2-3 on 10 pitches in the first inning. Caratini was originally drafted by the Braves out of Miami-Dade Junior College, but he made his big league debut with the Cubs and played with them for 5 years before he started moving around, now with his 5th team. Always known as a bat-first catcher when he was with Chicago.
And I would say he's not the opposite now. He still can rig, but you know, he's that veteran presence behind the plate. Knows how to call a game.
But as you said, you know, they take Jeffers out, they plug him right into that cleanup spot.
I mean, how many catchers do they do that in the big leagues? Very few.
Holmes couldn't get him to bite on a changeup. And he's got his second full count of the first 4 batters of the game. And Caratini bounces one down to Vientos. Holmes gets over the cover. 1 out. Score big on authentic gear at MLBshop.com. From official jerseys and memorabilia to hats and hoodies. Visit MLBshop.com/Mets, the official source for your Mets gear. So 1 out now. Cody Clemens, 1 for 3 last night. He had a double in the 7th and scored the tying run in that game. And he hits one on the ground to Semien. 2 ground balls, 2 outs for Holmes. You know, Clay Holmes came into the night with the fifth best ERA in the National League at 1.96. That's really good, right? Jose Soriano of the Angels today threw 5 scoreless innings. His ERA through his first 6 starts is 0.24, which since the earned run was made an official stat in 1913, 113 years ago, is the lowest ERA for any pitcher through his first 6 starts of the season. Like Holmes, a sinker ball pitcher.
Throwing strikes. He always had that issue.
I mean, what an amazing start to a year. Luke Keeschel had a couple of big hits for the Twins last night. RBI single in the 7th that tied the game. RBI single in the 9th that put them in front. And Keeschel pops one up on the left side. Lindor is settling under it. And another 1-2-3 inning for Clay Holmes. He's retired the first 6. 1-0 Mets in the second.
Hank Greenberg helped popularize the first baseman's mitt, holding a massive 13-inch pocketed glove. That was quickly banned, reducing the maximum size to 12 inches. Paul Richards also developed a black hole-sized catcher's mitt. This ginormous thing, measuring 42 inches in circumference, was known as Big Bertha, or the Elephant, for its massive size. It was swiftly outlawed as well.
He swings away, belts the ball to center. Isbell back. Isbell wants it. It's gone! A grand slam! Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets it in the air, and it is gone. He's always got a little extra hop in his step when he comes to Anaheim. After all the seasons his dad played here. 3-2. Here it is. And he got him looking. 99 at the knees. A dozen Ks for Dylan Cease in 5 innings. Nico on the dive. Gets him and throws him out. Line drive. Oh, Nico! He stole a hit.
Made another unbelievable Gold Glove, Platinum Glove play.
That's another home run for Dalton Rushing. His 2nd of the game, his 7th of the year. Dalton is crushing the baseball.
Some of the members of the Gotham FC women's soccer team at the National Women's Soccer League. They were out here throwing out the first pitch tonight. They're going to play a game here at Citi Field in July.
One of the best first pitches I've seen this year.
You notice that the women athletes who are non-baseball players throw better than the men athletes who are non-baseball players?
It's crazy.
Mark Vientos leading off in the home second.
I blame it on specialization.
Vientos 6 for 20 against lefties this year with one of his 2 home runs. Facing Connor Prielipp in his 2nd big league inning. So Prielipp, we told you coming into the game, had a terrific slider. He threw that slider 13 out of 23 pitches in the first inning. That's something a reliever might do. You don't often see a starter doing that.
Well, I was saying before, 77 and 76 pitches in his last 2 starts. So this might be a 55 to 75 kind of outing for Mr. Prielipp, but he looks good. Stays down in the zone, as you said, ground ball pitcher.
And 5 innings against Lehigh Valley in his last start on Thursday. And he gets Vientos with that slider. 2nd strikeout for Prielipp. 1 down in the 2nd.
It must be really break late because it looks disguised from his fastball. It looks the same coming in and then takes a little left turn or right turn if you're the pitcher.
So 1 out now. Marcus Semien, who's been the Mets' best hitter against lefties so far this year. Marcus is hitting .368 against left-handers. Semien led off last night for the first time this year. Went 0 for 3 with a walk. Batting in the 7th spot tonight. Prielipp ahead of him 0-2. Steals that fastball up high. Ball and 2 strikes. Change up away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Prielipp came out of the University of Alabama. 2nd round pick in 2022. Might have gone earlier, but he had Tommy John surgery the year before. And then after he turned pro, he needed another surgery in 2023. It was an internal brace surgery. So he basically had 2 Tommy John surgeries in a 3-year span. And so from 21 to 24, he pitched a total of 60 innings.
Losing all those development years, but this is more a story we hear all the time.
He bounced back, and he was the Twins' minor league pitcher of the year last year. So they can repair him, and they can get him back up to speed. And the Mets are going to find that out for themselves tomorrow night with the return of Christian Scott, who is in the clubhouse and ready to be activated for tomorrow's start. It was great to see Christian, who's fought back so hard. Swing and a miss, and Semien goes down swinging on a slider.
Yeah, whenever I see these young men, now Joe Ryan, talented ace of the Minnesota team, Christian Scott, I always am proud of these guys that they work so hard to make it all the way back, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of butterflies for Christian tomorrow.
I mean, there was so much hype around Christian when he came up 2 years ago and pitched really well out of the gate, and then that elbow flared up, and he was only able to pitch in 9 games in the big leagues before he went down with Tommy John and missed all of last year. Here's Tommy Pham looking for his first hit as a Met. He's making his 3rd start tonight, and he swings and misses. I should say his first hit as a Met this time around.
Yes.
Tommy was with the Mets 3 years ago and had a great run. Curveball misses, and it's 1-2. To make room for Soto's return, the Mets sent Hayden Senger back to AAA. So they have a little bit of an overload in the outfield now. 1-2 coming. But with Soto not necessarily playing every day in the outfield, at least early on, lessens that a little bit. DHing today, he'll play left field tomorrow, and then we'll see how he's feeling for the weekend. One-two to Pham. He watches the slider down. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The offensive numbers have just been dreadful, and that's during the streak. But even for the full season, the Mets are now last in the majors in runs scored and on base percentage and slugging percentage. And Pham takes strike 3 called, and Prielipp in his 2nd big league inning strikes out the side. 1-0 Mets after 2.
We have an animal on the field. Skunk City.
Oh, nobody is going near it. Look at that.
Killer skunk.
Going into the dugout. That'll empty that dugout in a hurry. Look at him go. And the cameraman. Oh, the cameraman to go.
Wow. It's like an Academy Award came to life. How long do you think that took to get ready?
You know, it's really not fun facing a guy with that kind of stuff. I'll just tell you that.
presented without comment.
It's a raft. It's got an outboard motor. It's got a little barbecue, and it's got a hot tub.
Look at that.
I mean, come on.
American ingenuity.
That is living.
What else can go wrong here?
Where are the Angels in the outfield? They're everywhere.
2-2 the count. The pitch to Alvarez, hit in the air to deep left field. Forget it. This one sails into the second deck behind the 358 mark.
Alvarez follows up with a bomb. Oh my goodness, top tank. Santa Maria.
Did the classic swing and stare and take the slow trot up the line, a look into the dugout, flexing that bicep. That was a shot. Classic Alvarez bomb.
Puedes ser el dueño de grandes momentos del béisbol. MLB Auction te permite participar en la subasta de bates, bolas y jerseys autografiados, con artículos de tus equipos de grandes ligas favoritos, leyendas y jugadores. Visita
And getting the side in order in the first 2 innings. They'll face Matt Wallner leading off in the third. Wallner had the first hit for the Twins last night after Nolan McLean retired the first 15 batters. One pops out of the mid of Alvarez. Called the ball 2-0. Wallner's off to a rough start despite his hit last night. 187 average, 35 strikeouts in his first 75 at bats. That's the most in the American League. And Holmes misses down with the sinker, and it's 3-0. Royce Lewis on deck, and then Brooks Lee, the lower third of the Minnesota batting order. Swinging 3-0, leading off the inning, and Wallner fouls it back. He's a power hitter.
Yeah.
Looking for one he could drive.
He got the pitch.
22 home runs last year. He's a big dude. A Minnesota native. Pulls one on the ground to Semien. He handles it and makes the play one away. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
So, guys, I want to go back to something from last night. This prompted a lot of discussion on the broadcast, and today, the day after, it was in that at-bat before Byron Buxton hit the home run, where he comes up and in, does Nolan McLean, and then appears to say to Buxton, hey, my bad. And, Ronnie, you astutely saw that and pointed out, hey, that next pitch, Buxton may have been a little more comfortable because he thought that McLean was apologizing to him and wouldn't come up and in again. Now, I spoke to McLean about that, and he said that he actually wasn't apologizing to Buxton. He was apologizing to his catcher, Francisco Alvarez, who had called for a backdoor sinker, and he said, I missed that pitch by about 5 to 7 feet. Now, that's not to say that Buxton knew that that's what was happening, so maybe it had the same result anyway. But for me, what I actually found more interesting was the conversation about the thought process after we started to go through what happened in that particular moment. As Royce Lewis into shallow center field, and that'll drop for a base hit. But Nolan McLean had really been coming after Buxton with sinkers all night. The first 2 at-bats, 7 of the 9 pitches had been 2-seamers. And he thought in that third at-bat, you know what? I have to change up the program here because he's seen the 2-seamers so much. So he went with the cutter. Felt like he executed the pitch, and Buxton hit it out. And McLean the day after said it's kind of a learning process because you feel like third time through you've got to change it up, but maybe I should have just gone with what was working until it didn't.
Well, not so astutely on my part. I'll tell you what it looked like for me is that, and I owe an apology to Nolan McLean, and I will do that personally, is that after the pitch came in, my thought process was like, boy, he's been pounding him in. When I saw the my bad, I saw Buxton react to it. And so my eyes were peeled on Buxton to see what he would do. I did not take a peek at Alvarez, so I missed that. So we thought it was astute. It was not at all. But
But Steve's point is well taken. Buxton may not have known that it was directed at Alvarez.
Yeah, but I should have accounted that maybe it was to Alvarez, so I missed that one. And my job is not to not miss him.
There goes Lewis, grounded to Semien. He'll have to go to first with it, and that's the second out if Lewis takes second. 2 down.
But Ron, can I ask you about the other point of the conversation?
Yeah.
Where you've got a young pitcher who is trying to learn, even with the type of stuff that he has, how to navigate a major league lineup 1, 2, 3 times, and that mental back and forth on the mound of trying to figure out, do I go with what's worked these first 2 times through, or do I need to, against big league hitters, change up the program?
Well, that's a good point, Steve, but I think that I trust Nolan and his feel so far in this sense is that coming off a ball where you miss, he said 5-6 feet. Of course, he didn't miss 5-6 feet, maybe a foot inside. Maybe you don't have the confidence to come back with that pitch because it feels like a ball out of your hand now. So maybe I've done so much in, it's time to go away. I can definitely see doing that. I've done it many times. I've even given up home runs, I'm sure, many times thinking like that. Wasn't the wrong thought. I know he thought it was a good pitch, cut her up. I thought it was not as good as the other pitches he threw last night.
Now Holmes behind on Buxton 2-0. Holmes has been throwing almost exclusively sinkers early in this game.
He reminds me, I haven't seen a game pitch like this since, do you remember Brandon Webb?
Yeah.
For the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Bowling ball sinker.
It feels like that watching Clay Holmes tonight.
And Webb won a Cy Young throwing his sinker about 80% of the time. Buxton flied out his first time up, and he takes that sinker low and in. It's 3-1. Holmes has made one prior career start against the Twins. That was last year at Target Field. He threw 5 good innings and got a win. And Buxton takes a strike, and it's 3-2.
One of his hardest fastballs tonight at 95 miles an hour.
He's obviously feeling it because he hasn't felt the need to throw much else. Throw a couple of change-ups, 1 sweeper. That's about it. 3-2. Lewis at second with 2 out. And Buxton flares one into shallow center. Back goes Semien, and he makes the grab going away. He got a nice break on that ball to keep it from falling in. Still 1-0 New York.
And here's Will Smith, a chance to hand out a present on his birthday. Smith drills one, left center field. It is gone! Number 16, time and again in clutch time. Pitching change for the Diamondbacks after some birthday in bobblehead night magic from Will Smith. From down 1 to up 1.
Raines, he pops it up. Lopez fires his mask right into the gut of Tim Raines. Injury to insult.
Now you gotta laugh to keep from crying. Oh! Oh, oh, that got me. Oh, was that funny? I know it's not funny, but he's all right.
The beauty of this jersey is the field, the texture, the thin, the stitching is heavy, so you kind of feel that jersey that was very heavy. Check it out, the last name and the number, they have a little glitter on them, so they kind of stack up. It just feels right. I had some really cool cleats to go with it. The way it gets dirty when you slide, it just kind of like rubs off on that glitter. It's
off against the rookie left-hander Connor Prielipp, who struck out the side in the second. Taylor making his 8th start of the year, takes a fastball up and away for ball 1. So while Clay Holmes has leaned on his sinker almost exclusively, Prielipp has been slider heavy. We'll see if that changes as he moves toward the second time around the batting order. Starts off Taylor with a couple of fastballs.
Seems like the first time through the order, you have all the big names, and I think he just wanted to start that first inning having his slider ready to go. 9th place hitter, maybe a little more aggressive.
Connor Prielipp, who was a high school quarterback back in Wisconsin. Like a latter-day Kenny Stabler, Jim Zorn. 1-2 coming to Taylor. And he tried to lay off, and he stopped it in time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bo Bichette on deck. Juan Soto behind him. Taylor chops that one into the ground. It was interesting listening to Carlos Mendoza before the game talk about the changes he's made in his batting order. 4 different leadoff hitters in the last 6 games. He said, I would much rather have a stable lineup. And certainly we've seen that the last couple of years. He made the one big switch 2 years ago when he put Lindor in the leadoff spot. But other than that, he's kept things pretty intact. But he said, when you're going through it like this, you can't just stay the same. You have to try and find a different answer.
Yeah, no, he's right. It's what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over. Let's go. Change it up.
7th pitch of the at-bat coming to Taylor. On hold by Prielipp, trying to get the hitter flat-footed. And he misses badly with the changeup, and it's 3-2. So far, that changeup has not been a good pitch.
Yeah, it's been up and away, not even close to the plate. Got to keep throwing it, though, because that's the only way to get a feel for it.
And he goes backdoor with the slider to get the call. 3rd strike, his 4th consecutive strikeout, his 5th tonight. Bo Bichette batted lead off for the first time this year and led off with a double in the first.
It's interesting with Prielipp throwing the way he does. Royce Lewis should move closer to the line because it's like watching Johan Santana when he used to pitch for the Mets. It moved that 3rd baseman closer.
Coming into tonight, Met leadoff hitters this year had a 163 batting average and a 267 on base percentage. Both of those were 29th out of 30 teams in the majors. So you understand why Mendy is flipping around his leadoff guys, looking for the right combination.
Bo batted leadoff enough when he was a Toronto Blue Jay.
Soto on deck and ready for his 2nd at bat. Prielipp has struck out the last 4. Bichette, though, makes contact and flies it foul into the netting. Bo hit leadoff in 82 games for the Jays last year, 162 times in his career coming into today. You know, we just had a plane fly over, and when we used to be at Shea, planes would fly over all the time, and hitters inevitably would step out or pitchers would step off. Now, you can't necessarily do that.
Do it.
You have to play through. Of course, we don't get as many flight patterns that sail over the ballpark anymore. in the dirt and bouncing away. 1-2.
2 pitches ago, if you have a third baseman who's not on the pitch column, when you call the slider down and in, Caratini, the catcher, can let him know, get to that line. That ball's going to come that way if it's put in play.
Now, can't a team at the plate see that and adjust for it?
They can, but you have to every once in a while fake it. Do it when it's going to be a fastball or a changeup away. I think it happens too quickly for the on-deck guy on deck to say anything. Yadier Molina used to do that all the time.
Another long at bat. 7th pitch coming to Bichette.
Ooh.
And that's a pitch clock violation for ball 2.
There we go.
Blame it on the airplane. And that one bounces away. So all of a sudden he's losing a little command of that breaking ball.
Veteran catcher who's taken a lot. The ball's in the dirt.
Fourth full count in the first 10 batters for Prielipp. And Bichette skies one to center. Buxton glides over. 2 out.
So you keep throwing it, Gary, because that was his first good changeup. Good time to throw it, threw it for a strike, and just Bichette was a little out front.
So now Soto, who hit a deep fly ball to center that helped build a run in the first inning. You know, I mentioned this the other day. In 1983, when the Mets started off 6-15, they called up Darryl Strawberry, and the back page headline of the Daily News said, "Darryl, save us." And he was 21.
Right.
I mean, Soto's more of a position to, you know, to provide an instant spark. But nobody in baseball could be a savior. Unless you're a starting pitcher. 1-1 to Juan. And he lines one to right field, but that'll stay up for Wallner, who makes the grab. So Soto's a couple of balls well in his first 2 at bats. 1-0 Mets after 3.
Tip of the cap, and now here we go. He gets Larry Walker, and here he is. He's going to face him right-handed. Why not? He looks like a catcher hitting. And now he's back to the left side. And a 2-out walk. So Walker reaches base after that first pitch that was like the flyby here right after the anthem.
The MLB app. Yeah, it's got game. This game
Original. ¿Quieres una parte del juego? Visita auctions.mlb.com.
Your Spectrum high-speed pitching has been pretty simple for Clay Holmes tonight. 32 two-seamers or sinkers out of the 36 pitches he's thrown.
One of the most remarkable numbers I've seen, where everyone in baseball seems to have 7 pitches and wants to use all 7 of them in the first half hour of the game.
Trevor Larnach hit a line drive that Lindor leaped for and grabbed in the first inning. Holmes just threw a changeup. Alert the media. That one's pulled over the bag. That's a fair ball. It's going to hit off the sidewall. And on to second base goes Larnach with a leadoff double. So Larnach's hit 2 balls hard.
Got one in the middle of the plate and up, about thigh high. And Vientos was way off the line, so an easy base hit as it goes over the bag. Kind of settles underneath and kills that speed. That's why that Taylor, by the time he got to it, a double for Larnach.
So the tying run at second with nobody out. Now Josh Bell, who flied out to left his first time up. Veteran switch hitter takes a sinker outside for ball 1. Bell now playing with his 7th team in his 11-year career. He was in Washington last year. His former team, the Nationals, ground ball to the right side, so that'll advance the runner. Semien throws out Bell as Larnach goes to third with 1 away. The Nationals play some of the most outrageous games. They lead the major leagues in runs scored, but they also lead the league in runs allowed.
Only 12 runs scored so far through 4 innings versus the Braves.
Yeah, and they had a 4-1 lead in the first inning. Mets will bring the infield in. Victor Caratini, the batter, grounded out to Vientos his first time up. And he takes that fastball high for ball 1. Caratini 5 for 16 with runners in scoring position, hitting over 300. And that sinker in for a strike. 1-1. Holmes has retired 10 of the first 12 batters, but he has not recorded a strikeout. His strikeout numbers are down from last year as his ground ball rate has gone up. He's averaging just 6.3 strikeouts per 9, which in this era in baseball is very low.
More like the 80s.
But now he's in a spot where he could use a strikeout, and he gets ahead by using the changeup. 1-2 to Caratini.
Boy, that kick change has been such a valuable pitch for Clay Holmes. He might try to come with that inside fastball. Starts it at Caratini's hip.
1-2. And the breaking ball line to center. Coming in is Robert. He's got it. Larnach tagging. He's going to try and score, and the throw is up the line. And Larnach comes home with the tying run. It's the second throw in 2 nights for Robert that has just been off.
You know, when he has all the momentum coming in like this usually produces the best throw you can throw, but that didn't have a lot on it either. So I saw him early in his career and he had a cannon. Less of that right now.
So the Twins tie the game on the sacrifice fly by Caratini. Bell got him over. Caratini got him in. And it's 1-1. Now Cody Clemens takes a high sweeper for ball 1. Clemens grounded out to second base his first time up. Each team now with a run on 2 hits. And another ground ball for Holmes. This one to Semien. That retires the side, but the Twins scratch out a run to get even. It's 1-1 in the 4th.
Liz came in one afternoon with an inability.
The MLB app. Yeah, it's got game. This game. These games. All the games. Pre-game, post-game, and everything in between. This is baseball your way, with real-time stats, scores, breaking news, and custom content.
And stealing 30 bags.
Two chased. Good sweeper from Meyer, and Wynn swung over the top of it. That's a punch out. Max is second.
In his career in 10 games against the Marlins either, batting one.
Twins from the past. Great batting champion Rod Carew, Hall of Famer. The great Harmon Killebrew, home run hitter. Another great hitter, Tony Oliva.
Boy, I liked watching him hit.
Kirby Puckett.
Only saw Kirby Puckett for one game in AAA. He only went 5 for 5.
So Mauer, recent inductee into the Hall of Fame. Of course, they started out as the original Washington Senators, moved to Minnesota, and then they put another franchise in Washington, which then moved to Texas. Luis Robert leading off in the home fourth against Connor Prielipp, and he flies one into shallow right center. Keishel going back, coming in as Walner to make the catch. One out.
Harmon Killebrew, is it true that his parents owned a dairy farm and used to carry the big jug, 50-pound milk?
Idaho.
Idaho. There you go. That's how he got those big forearms.
Francisco Lindor drove in the Mets run with an infield hit in the first. Mets have scored 4 runs in this series, and Lindor has driven in all 4. Keishel has settled in and retired 8 in a row after Lindor's hit in the first. One from Prielipp. He tries the slider, and it's low and in. 2 balls and a strike. Facing a pitcher that you've never faced before. You've seen a scouting report. Lewis got the glove on it, but couldn't squeeze it on a line drive by Lindor, and he's aboard with 1 out.
Slowly, you're seeing a lot of hits produced by Francisco. You're seeing the ball hit hard almost every time up. And this play, a little awkward by Lewis. Seemed like he got there, but couldn't look it in. A lot of spin on that ball as it was working its way towards the foul line.
Lindor will get credit for his second hit of the night. So he's now 9 for his last 25. That's a 360 clip.
Everybody who is watching, please subscribe because we are making this transmission in English, and we are going to put the game in every pitch game. You are going to see it here, so you may subscribe. Now the New York Mets are winning 2 runs by 1. And now the New Yorkers are celebrating because they are still they are losing 12 games. And they have right now the best pitcher that they have, Clay Holmes. That's the best pitcher in this season for the New York Mets. He was pitching against the Dodgers, and he threw a great game, but the offensive from the New York Mets, they were not supporting. Now we are seeing how Francisco Lindor, after the single, he tried to score, and he got on his leg the second run for the New York Mets. Marvientos, he was playing in the WBC, World Baseball Classic, over there in the Lawn Depot. Now you can see how Francisco Lindor was running the base. I think that he was running with the speed that he had to do.